stage, very different from the last one. So think of the pies, that you have 3 pies, one for each of the stages, and then look through the elements there to understand what your competitors are doing and how you could do better. How could you effectively compete with them? So let's look at some of the digital marketing trends. So I think the aggregate trends, the big trends have been fairly similar in the past few years. So it's all going towards automation, automation on ad creation, on ad optimization, on customer support. It's going more personal. So emails are getting more personal, really looking at what products we looked at, what price level could convince us to buy. And third is social commerce. So I think social media has changed quite a bit in the past few years, from purely in the awareness phase and the middle of funnel phase, where it creates awareness, gets the engagement, but it's not really the channel or the channels that help you convert and make people buy. But now we've seen that there's new solutions that really have bring social closer to the conversion phase as well. So Facebook ads, you can optimize for conversions. We'll quickly look at some examples of shoppable posts and so on. So some of the things I'll bring out here. So firstly, search. As I mentioned, search is very central to any digital marketing strategy. We search every day, we search everything. But the search results themselves have changed quite a bit, and this is something we need to take into account. So here's a traditional search result. Probably all seen them many times. So I search for sushi, I get 1 result for the history of sushi. There's a blog post that talks about the difference between sushi, sashimi, and maki. So you get all the results in one row, and then you decide what you want to click at. And you can assume that what's first is more relevant, and so on. But if we look at search results today, there's so many more elements that are shown up. So for example, for the search for sushi, the blocks that actually pop up. So firstly, if we search for sushi in Tartu, we get a map that shows the nearest sushi restaurants to me. If we search for a specific company, we get the company profile on the left. If I search for sushi recipes, I get video results in the search result that show how to make sushi. I get recipes which link to pages with sushi recipes. There's recommendation box to read more about the ingredients about the sushi, and also just a general block about what is sushi. And these have changed the SEO strategy quite a bit. So going back 5 years, we might have just optimized for the position. If somebody searches sushi, we want our website to be the top position, which means we get the most clicks and traffic. So, but today, since all these blocks show up in the search results, we need to also think about how can we optimize our content, our strategy for these. So we want to show up. If somebody searches for sushi recipes, we want to be visible. So if we sell sushi making kits, we want to have our video about sushi recipe showing up in these blocks. And this is a very different process and media that we need to focus on than if it was simply the sort of old-fashioned search results. Now, related to that, so if some of you have read about search engines or SEO in recent times, there's this talk about position 0 or featured snippet, is that Google tries to assume what is the best answer for your question. Instead of just showing the one result, it takes the content from a specific page and shows that on top of the search results, which means that even when you're position 1 and there's a snippet in front of you, you probably get much less traffic. And this has had a big impact on click-through rates. And again, it changes the strategy on what you focus on. If you are optimizing your website for something that always shows a featured snippet, it might not make sense to focus heavily on how you can get to position 1, but more on how do you get to be the one who is featured on top of the search results. So there's been studies as well on how that has impacted click-through rates and the visibility of different websites. So Ahrefs study showed that about little over 12% of search results came up with some form of featured snippet on top of the regular search results. And the CTR results, which might not make sense, but actually the click-through rates on the search featured snippets is much less than just a regular first position, and mainly because the valuable information is already presented. So people don't really need to click to your website in order to see what they are looking for. So this click-through rate for featured snippets is 8.6% versus 26% if there was no featured snippet and you were just on the first position. So in conclusion, SEO today is not only about getting to the first, second or third position, but it's looking at search results more broadly and looking at what kind of special blocks featured snippets are presented in the search results page that is relevant for you, and how can you make sure that you show up in these blocks and not only the regular search results.